As you probably know, the United States of America is a superpower on the world theater. There are a lot of factors that make the U.S. a superpower, like ideology, stability, race, and other things. But we are not talking about those today. We are talking about the geography and location, which has more importance to American superiority than you might think. Let's get started. We need to talk about America's colonial past. So the British Empire, after the 7 Years' War, had control of practically all of Canada and the eastern coast of the United States. Pre-Revolutionary America's western border was the Appalachian Mountains. And you'll see this picture right now. Yep, right there, the Appalachian Mountains, a pretty tall forested mountain range. It stretches from Georgia and Alabama all the way to Maine. Around the year 1778, two years after America gained independence, they owned the Great Lakes states and most of the Deep South states, not including Florida and Louisiana. So its western border was the Mississippi River. Then, in 1803, France sold Louisiana to the United States, which doubled the U.S.'s size. When Louisiana was brought in to the United States, it doubles the U.S. size. The Rocky Mountains was the western border now. The Rocky Mountains is one of the largest mountain ranges in North America. It's very large, and it was the western border of the United States at the time. Then, America annexed Florida from Spain in 1819. Now at this point, America has very good protection already, and it's only 1819. The Rocky Mountains are in the west. They're in the west. The Gulf of Mexico is in the south. The Atlantic Ocean is in the east. And the Great Lakes are in the north. That makes the long and straight U.S.-Canada border. This is just an imaginary line, by the way. No mountains, no rivers, no forests, no deserts. Nothing. Just a bunch of flat, mostly grassy plains. This border would be a problem since armies can move through flat plains easily. But Canada has this shield, which makes it super hard to farm, so Canada's population is stuck to the south. So Canada was not a problem. Then the Mexican-American War came along because of California and Texas's revolt. That was because Mexico filled Texas and California up with American settlers. Texas wanted to be with the rest of the fellow Americans, so Texas attached itself to the U.S., which was brought into the war. Mexico has a very similar problem to Canada. Almost half of Mexico is a desolate desert, obviously, a hot desert. There's both the Sierra Madre Mountains, the Oriental, and the Occidental Mountains. The Occidental is the western one, as you see here, and it blocks Mexico from its western coast. And then, if the picture will move, yep, there it is, right there. The Occidental is the eastern mountain range, which is a little bit better as it gets plains, more plain area for farming. So Mexico wasn't really a problem for the U.S. either. You may be asking, Malachi, what about the other world powers? Well, I have you on that. When America was in its infancy, all the powerful countries were too far away to hurt little America. So the great powers in Europe were an Atlantic Ocean away from America. The UK, France, Germany, Spain, and Russia would have to put armies on ships, which was a lot of money and work, and would slow down armies a lot. Even if Russia is closer to the US than any other European country, Russia and the Asian powers of China and Japan would either have to sail the largest, deepest, and emptiest ocean, the Pacific, send armies all the way from Europe through the cold and harsh territory of Siberia to finally get to the US. So America was practically immune to outside invasions, with the War of 1812 an exception. So we know the outside geographical protection, but what about America itself? Well, I'll ask you this first. What does North America and the solar system have in common? You should probably pause the video. Okay, I'm assuming you paused the video and thought about it. They both have Goldilocks zones. Yes, Goldilocks zones. Venus is too hot, Mars is too cold, but Earth is just right. Just like in North America. See, the analogy is working here. You see it, you see it, you see it, you see it. Yep. So it's just like in North America, where Canada is way too cold, and Mexico is way too hot. Both of them are one is way too cold, the other is way too hot, but right in the middle is America, which is just right. America has a bunch of farming zones. One of them is the Great Plains, which contains a third of the U.S. Yes, a third of the U.S. is the Great Plains itself. Then there's the Central Valley in California, which everyone knows of. The U.S. has a large coast on both sides. It actually has a coast on 3 different oceans. One is on the Pacific, one is on the Pacific, the other one is on the Atlantic, and the third one is in northern Alaska. Yeah, you probably didn't think about that. So when it comes to geography, for next time, just remember that geography means everything when it comes to a country. Yeah, geography is very important when it comes to a country. It determines if a country will be successful or die. So, yeah, and that was the ending of the video. Okay, so quick note, this video is highly based off of Wendover Productions, How Geography Gave the U.S. Power. So please check that video out. The link is in the description. There will be a little Halloween special tomorrow. And yeah, so happy Halloween! Boo hoo hoo!